Welcome to the second annual Foundation Lady Awards. I'm your host, Jenny, aka Foundation Lady, and I will be sharing the best foundations I tried this year in every category, in addition to our Viewer's Choice Award for Best New Foundation of 2023 and the biggest award of the night, Foundation of the Year. The only requirement for a foundation to be eligible for the awards is that it had to be a foundation I tried for the first time this year. So even though I still love last year's foundations, you're not going to see any repeats. Let's jump right in, starting with the best high-end matte foundation, which goes to the Estee Lauder Double Wear Stay in Place Foundation. So let's talk about why this foundation has been a decades-long fan favorite. Estee Lauder refers to it as a medium to full coverage foundation. I refer to it as full coverage. And wow, does this give you a smooth and even canvas to apply the rest of your makeup on. Additionally, this is one of those foundations that looks really good in photographs. Now, you may be surprised seeing as this one has been out for over a quarter of a century, but it was my first time trying it since starting my channel. And as I mentioned in the intro, any foundation that I tried within the last year is eligible. So this one is especially good for normal to oily skin. I tend to have somewhat dry skin, so I like to use a hydrating primer first. But when prepping my skin, using said primer and going in with very light layers, I have no problems with this foundation looking too dry on me, as many other full coverage matte foundations tend to look. In addition, this foundation is a workhorse. It's waterproof, sweat and humidity resistant, and I have never used a longer lasting foundation. They claim it's 24 hours. I can't tell you that, but I can tell you that this looked the exact same at the end of the day as it did when I first put it on. I featured this foundation in my classic foundation series, so if you're interested in getting little tidbits of history and interesting facts about Estee Lauder, you should definitely check this video out. Moving on to the best matte drugstore foundation, and the winner is the Almay TLC 16-Hour Wear Liquid Makeup. If you're looking for a foundation that is similar to the Estee Lauder Double Wear, but you don't want to pay the high-end price, you should try this foundation. It's hiding in plain sight at your drugstore. It has so many of the same wonderful attributes as Double Wear. It's very long wearing, medium buildable full coverage, and Almay refers to it as satin matte, which I actually prefer over a full matte foundation because just that tiny touch of satin is going to make the skin look much more lifelike. In addition, I love that Almay is hypoallergenic and fragrance-free, so it's better for those of us who have acne or sensitive skin. Next up, we have the best DEWY foundation of the year, and that goes to Revlon Illuminance Skin Caring Foundation. Now, you may notice that I didn't split this category into high-end and drugstore foundations this year, and that was because for me, there was truly only one DEWY foundation that stood out to me this year as the absolute best. The Revlon Illuminance is one of those foundations that they named perfectly. It really illuminates the skin with its dewy coverage. It's radiant, it's skin-like, and it feels so nice on the skin, especially if you're a dry-skinned foundation wearer, or if you just want something with a little extra moisture in winter, because to me, that's exactly what this feels like, a moisturizer. I love that there's no synthetic fragrances, no parabens or phthalates in it, but my favorite thing about this foundation is how beautifully it wears throughout the day. With most foundations, right after you apply it, it's the best it's going to look all day. But with this one, it seemed to look better the longer I wore it. Now, some others who have reviewed it said that it didn't last as long on them as they'd hoped. So I just want to offer a bit of friendly advice if you're in that boat with this foundation. I put this on after my regular skincare dries. I don't use any additional hydrating primers or any primer at all. I very lightly blot up any extra foundation with a tissue after I've applied, and I do set this one with just a tiny bit of powder. When I do that, I get a good 9 to 10 hours of coverage with this one. Next up, I'm excited to present a new category for this year, and that is Best Dupe for a High-End Foundation. And our winner is the newly reformulated and newly packaged L'Oreal True Match Super Blendable Foundation, which is a dupe for the beloved Armani Luminous Silk Foundation. I was struck by how soft this foundation felt on my skin. The formula feels light and thin, but it also offers great coverage and a soft satin finish that catches the light without looking overly dewy. Now, I'm a fan of the Armani Luminous Silk as well, but when comparing prices, the Armani comes in at $69 US, whereas the L'Oreal Super Blendable comes in around $10 to $14, depending on where you purchase it. Every foundation I feature today has a video that I will link below where I show you all the details, oxidation tests, swatches, etc. about every foundation. But I also have a short on this one that I'll link below where I compare the Armani Luminous Silk and the L'Oreal True Match Super Blendables side by side so you can see for yourself how they compare. Oh, and I don't want to forget to mention about this foundation. It's another one that looks really nice in photographs. I always urge my viewers to test a foundation for themselves before doing an important photo shoot for weddings, Christmas cards, etc. But if you're having trouble finding a foundation that evens out your skin tone while still looking natural, you might want to give this one a test run. Next, we're going to go into the winner for the best powder foundation, and that is... Actually, there isn't one, drugstore or high-end, and the reason is I just didn't find one that I loved this year. I take the fact that you trust me with your reviews very seriously, and I'm not going to waste your time or money by suggesting something I don't truly believe in. My favorite is still the Zuzu Luxe Powder Foundation, which won last year and which I'm showing you here today, so I'll make sure to link that video below in case you came here looking for a great powder foundation. Moving on to our winner for Best High-End Cream Foundation, which goes to the Joe Blasco Ultra Base. I've featured this in 2 videos, my 4 favorite maximum coverage foundations and a short called Kim Kardashian Loves This Foundation, because not only is it one of her favorites, but a Hollywood favorite as well. This foundation was created by Mr. Blasco to literally mimic the look of skin. It is a makeup artist favorite, and I love that this has so many shades and variations of undertones available. Whether you have pink, yellow, neutral, or olive undertones, there is a shade for you. It has the best undertone range I have ever seen for a foundation. It's super pigmented, so the way you want to apply this is by going in with light layers. For me, 1 layer is enough to give the illusion that I have near perfect, yet still lifelike skin, which is not the easiest task, my friend. And just to note, this can be anywhere from a strong medium to maximum coverage, which I consider even more full than full coverage. Just make sure to apply in light layers as you build it up. And the winner for Best Drugstore Cream Foundation is unfortunately probably sitting on a bottom shelf in your local store collecting dust because it's been around forever, but no one is talking about how phenomenal it is. It's the CoverGirl Smoothers Aqua Smooth Compact Foundation. This foundation is a dream. It's so creamy, it's quick to apply, it's convenient for touch-ups, and you can easily find it for under $10. It actually reminds me of one of the only 2 foundations I have ever referred to as a holy grail foundation, which is the Shiseido Sports BB Compact. Unfortunately, I discovered the Shiseido foundation right when it was being discontinued. But this CoverGirl is the closest I have found to that formula. I actually like this one so much, I seriously considered it for Foundation of the Year, but decided to take it out of the running simply because I think the shade range could be improved upon. But if you can find a good match in this one and have normal to dry skin, I would snatch it up. Now to mix it up a bit here, I'm going to share with you what I thought was the best new under-eye concealer of 2023, and that was the L'Oreal Paris True Match Eye Cream in a Concealer. Not only does this feel soothing going on, but I've found that it creases way less than any of my other under-eye concealers. I just pat a bit on, let it sit for a couple of minutes, and then tap it one more time to get rid of any excess. I love this one. And as for the best new foundation applicator I tried, the winner is the EcoTools Luxe Flawless Foundation Brush. The short, dense bristles on this brush are great for applying foundation without making it look streaky. Now, I have had a few EcoTools brushes in the past that would shed quite a bit when I washed them, but I've washed this one every time after using it, and so far, I haven't lost a single hair. Let's move on to a really fun category, Best Unconventional Foundation, or the foundation that surprised me the most this year is the Jerome Alexander Miracle Minerals Airbrush Foundation Spray. Yes, this as seen on TV foundation was legitimately so good, it was another one in the running for Foundation of the Year. Now, some of you have told me that you're not a fan of spray foundations. I get it. They can be messy, they can be a little cumbersome to travel with, but when you look at the performance of this foundation and the price of this foundation, in my opinion, it's totally worth it. It comes with a little kabuki brush that I was also completely shocked by and actually use with my other foundations. I've never had a brush that came with a foundation or any makeup product, including Chanel products, that I felt was worthy of actually using. But I love this little guy. My favorite way to apply this is by spraying a little directly on the brush. You just need a little bit as this goes a long way. This has the thinnest formula of any foundation in the awards today, but don't let that fool you. It packs a big punch in terms of coverage. And let me be totally clear about this one. If I quit my foundation channel tomorrow and became a makeup minimalist, this would be one of the top 4 or 5 foundations I would keep and would feel comfortable wearing on a daily basis. In my video on the Jerome Alexander Airbrush Foundation, I compare this to the now discontinued Dior Air Flash and how I feel about the two. Long story short, I like the Jerome Alexander better. It gives what I like to call Barbie skin. It covers all my imperfections, and when it catches the light just right, there's that lit from within gleam that you get on your cheekbones. But it's not dewy. It's just that perfect, not too matte, not too dewy finish. They claim that it's matte, so it's good for oily skin types, but for those of you with drier skin, I find when I use a hydrating primer underneath, I'm able to affect the finish and make it a little more glowy. And by the way, I still love and still wear my winners from the 2022 Foundation Lady Awards. So if you haven't had a chance to check out that video, make sure to head over after this to watch that one. I'll link it below. And the next award goes to the Best Serum Foundation. And this foundation came in just the nick of time to be considered for this year's awards. The Best Serum Foundation goes to Relove by Revolution Super Serum Foundation. Not only is this foundation silky and lightweight, but it offers amazing coverage, and it comes in at under $5. Relove by Revolution is part of the Revolution Beauty brand, and if you liked Revolution Beauty's price point, you're gonna love Relove by Revolution's price point. After perusing their website for a few moments, I can tell you that there was nothing over $5. So if you're on a budget or you just don't like to spend a lot on makeup, you should definitely check out their products. But it's not just the price point that makes me love this foundation. I think it's better than many of the high-end foundations I tried this year. It's a highly pigmented formula, so you only need a tiny drop for great medium buildable coverage that looks so skin-like. In my video on this one, I compare it to the L'Oreal and Maybelline Serum Foundations, which are also two favorites of mine. But make sure to check out that video if you'd like a more in-depth review on this one. And now for an award that I am so excited to share with you because you, my lovely viewers, picked it. It's the Viewer's Choice Award for Best New Foundation of 2023. And the winner is the Revlon Illuminance Skin Caring Foundation, which you saw earlier as the winner for Best Dewy Foundation. I couldn't be happier to know that so many of you loved that foundation as well. And just before we get into Foundation of the Year, let's give one more award to the Best Tinted Sunscreen BB or CC Cream. And that award goes to the Tower 28 Tinted Sunscreen. This is the only tinted sunscreen I have ever used that not only has a shade light enough for my fair skin, but also does not oxidize on me. This is also a 100% mineral sunscreen with the National Eczema Association's seal of acceptance, so it's safe for even the most sensitive skin types. Now let me be upfront, the first few minutes you have this on, it's very dewy on the skin. It does dry down, but even then with my normal to dry skin, I add a touch of powder. This is my favorite tinted sunscreen of the year, but if you have normal to oily skin and don't like the dewiness of this one, then the Tula Radiant Skin Brightening Serum Skin Tint Sunscreen, which is also an SPF 30, might be a good option for you. They have a whopping 30 shades, and I find the finish to be just as pretty as the Tower 28, but a little less dewy. Both of these options are great tinted sunscreens. And finally, our biggest and best category of the night, Foundation of the Year. And the winner for 2023 is the Polite Society More Than a Pretty Face Skin Caring Foundation. And as a quick note, if you're one of my international viewers, stick around. I have some good news for you. This is the second of only 2 foundations I have ever referred to as Holy Grail on my channel, and it straight up makes me feel like a Barbie doll when I'm wearing it. And what I mean by that is that it seems to transform my skin. The creators have struck a perfect balance of a foundation that's not too dewy and not too matte. It covers what I want it to without being overly heavy or cakey, and it's one of those that when you look at it head on, it looks like you just have flawless satin matte skin, but when you turn your head, the light bounces off of it, and it just makes you look like you have a baby doll face. Now, the perfect combo for me was pairing this with the NYX Hydra Touch Concealer, letting it dry down a bit, and then applying this with the Eco Tools brush I mentioned a moment ago. Those 3 together make such a perfect combo. I love the name of this foundation. I love the packaging. I think the bottle is the cutest design I've ever seen a foundation come in, but it's more than just how this is presented on the outside. In addition, this company is clean, vegan, and cruelty-free, and I love that they look at makeup as a tool of self-expression versus a mask. And as for my international viewers, when I first presented this on my channel, many of you asked if this was available internationally. I contacted the company and they told me that although they don't currently sell internationally, to keep an eye out because they will be expanding shortly. I was so happy to hear that because all of my viewers are so very important to me, and I didn't want to choose this one for Foundation of the Year if I knew that it wasn't going to be available to you at some point. So great news there. Make sure to stay tuned for next week's video, which is 5 foundations I won't be wearing in 2024, which is the exact opposite of this one. It's the 5 foundations I tried in 2023 that I liked the least. Also, if you haven't checked out last year's Foundation Lady Awards, make sure to go check those out. They're linked below. Thank you for all the love you showed me this year, and have a blessed 2024.